Discipline begins the moment you stop negotiating with the work you know must be done. Your life changes through the actions you repeat when nobody is pushing you. The workout you want to skip, the page you do not feel like reading, the task you keep delaying. The morning when your bed feels more comfortable than your goals. These moments reveal your control over your choices. What would happen if you stopped waiting to feel motivated? What if you trained yourself to act when the work felt uncomfortable, boring, or tiring? That is where real discipline begins. In this audiobook, you will learn how to train yourself to do hard things every day without depending on motivation. You will discover how to start difficult work, face resistance, keep your promises, handle bad days, work when nobody is watching, and continue when quitting feels easier. You will learn how daily discipline shapes your confidence and future. You do not need to change everything today. Become someone who does what matters when it is difficult. Stay until the end, because the hardest part may not be doing the work. It may be deciding that your feelings no longer control your actions. Chapter 1. Start your day with one hard task. Your discipline becomes stronger the moment you stop giving your hardest work to the weakest part of your day. The first serious task you complete each morning can change how you handle the rest of your day. Training yourself to do hard things every day starts with one simple decision: to face something difficult before comfort becomes the main goal. Most people do not lose discipline because they are weak people. They lose discipline because they repeatedly practice avoiding discomfort. They wake up and reach for the phone. They check messages. They watch short videos. They read things that require almost no effort. Then they look at the work that matters and say they will do it later. The problem is not always a lack of time. The problem is that the brain has already learned to expect easy stimulation before serious effort begins. Your first task matters because it teaches your mind what kind of behavior is normal. A difficult task, completed early, gives you evidence that you can act without waiting to feel ready. That evidence is important. Discipline grows through repeated proof. You tell yourself that you will study for 30 minutes, and then you actually study. You decide to exercise before breakfast, and you complete the session. You promise yourself that you will work on an important project before opening social media, and you keep that promise. Each completed action makes the next action easier to trust. There is a practical reason to choose one hard task instead of trying to change your entire life in one morning. Your attention is limited. Your energy also changes during the day. A person who tries to improve 10 habits at once often creates too many decisions. Too many decisions create friction. Then the person misses one habit and starts feeling like the whole plan has failed. One hard task removes much of that confusion. You know what matters first. You know what must be done. You can begin without negotiating with yourself for an hour. Take a piece of paper tonight and write one task that deserves your best attention tomorrow. Make it specific. Do not write that you will work harder. Write that you will complete 5 pages of study. Write that you will finish the first section of your report. Write that you will exercise for 40 minutes. Write that you will clean the room before using entertainment. The task should be difficult enough to require effort, but clear enough that you know exactly when it is finished. This small change creates something many people miss. It separates planning from emotion. You decide the task before the morning arrives. That matters, because the morning version of you should not be allowed to rewrite every decision made by the night version of you. A tired mind often chooses comfort. A prepared mind has fewer choices to make. You wake up and already know what comes first. This reduces the time you spend arguing with yourself. There is another useful rule. Do not choose the hardest task simply because it sounds impressive. Choose the task that creates meaningful progress. Hard work without useful direction can waste your energy. You could spend 2 hours organizing files and feel productive while avoiding the report that actually matters. You could spend an hour researching exercise plans while avoiding the workout itself. The goal is not to suffer more. The goal is to practice doing valuable work, even when it requires effort. This distinction can change your relationship with difficult work. Discipline is not about making every part of life painful. Discipline means being able to choose an important action even when an easier action feels more attractive. That is a practical skill. You use it at work. You use it while studying. You use it with money. You use it in relationships. You use it when taking care of your home. A person who can control the first important action of the day has more control over many later decisions. Start with a simple morning structure. Wake up. Take care of basic needs. Drink some water. Get your body moving for a few minutes. Then begin the important task. Keep your phone away from your working area. Do not open entertainment before the task begins. Do not check every message that arrives. Give yourself a defined period of serious work. 30 minutes is enough to begin. 45 minutes is useful. An hour is excellent when your schedule allows it. The exact number matters less than the fact that you start. The first few minutes will often feel uncomfortable. Your mind may search for reasons to stop. You may suddenly remember something that feels urgent. You may want coffee. You may want to check one message. You may feel that you should organize your desk first. These small urges are useful information. They show you how quickly your mind looks for an easier action. You do not need to fight every thought. Notice the thought and return to the task. This is where a simple practice can help. Set a timer before you begin. Tell yourself that you only need to work until the timer ends. During that period, you do not need to feel motivated. You only need to remain with the task. This teaches an important lesson. Action does not require a strong emotional state. You can work while feeling bored. You can study while feeling nervous. You can exercise while feeling lazy. You can clean your home while wishing you were doing something else. Many people wait for the right feeling before starting. That habit creates a serious problem because feelings change faster than commitments. A person can feel ready at 7 in the morning and completely different at 8:30. A disciplined person does not build every decision around the mood of the moment. The decision has already been made. The work begins because the work was chosen. There is also a difference between starting hard and starting perfectly. You do not need the perfect desk. You do not need perfect silence. You do not need the perfect plan. You need a clear first action. Open the book to the correct page. Put your shoes on. Open the document. Write the first sentence. Pick up the equipment. Put the dishes in the sink. Small physical actions reduce mental resistance because they turn an idea into movement. Here is a useful exercise for the next 7 mornings. Write down your hardest useful task before going to bed. Place the written task somewhere you can see it after waking. Start it before entertainment. Work on it for at least 30 minutes. Mark the task as complete after the session. Then record 1 sentence about how you felt before starting and how you felt after finishing. Do not write a long journal. Keep it simple. After several days, you will notice something valuable. The discomfort before the task is often larger than the discomfort during the task. This happens because anticipation creates uncertainty. Before you begin, the task exists as a large problem in your mind. After you begin, the problem becomes a series of small actions. You are no longer dealing with the entire project. You are dealing with the next paragraph, the next exercise, the next page, the next phone call, the next 10 minutes. This is one of the most practical lessons about doing hard things. A difficult task becomes easier to manage when you stop measuring the entire distance and focus on the current action. You do not need to complete your entire career before breakfast. You need to complete today's useful work. You do not need to become highly disciplined in 1 week. You need to practice one disciplined action today. Your environment also affects your ability to follow through. People often blame themselves for having poor discipline while keeping distractions directly beside them. A phone on the desk creates opportunities to leave the task. A television in front of you creates another option. Open social media tabs create another option. Notifications create interruptions that demand attention. You can make discipline easier by removing some of these choices before work begins. Put the phone in another room when possible. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Keep only the materials needed for the task nearby. Close unrelated tabs. Tell people around you that you are unavailable for a short period unless something is urgent. These actions are not signs that you lack self-control. They are practical ways to reduce unnecessary demands on your attention. Your morning does not need to be complicated. In fact, simple routines are often easier to maintain because they require fewer decisions. A useful routine could be as basic as waking up, washing, drinking water, getting dressed, and starting the selected task. Another person may need breakfast before working. Someone else may exercise first. The exact routine can change. The important principle is that your first meaningful effort should happen before you spend too much attention on easy entertainment. There is a common mistake here. Some people hear this and create an extreme morning schedule. They decide to wake at 5, exercise for 2 hours, read 50 pages, meditate, write 10 pages, work for 4 hours, and follow a strict diet all at once. 3 days later, they are exhausted. Then they decide they lack discipline. The real problem was poor planning. Discipline does not require an extreme schedule. It requires a schedule you can repeat. Start with a standard that is challenging but realistic. 30 focused minutes every morning can teach more about discipline than an impressive routine that lasts 4 days. Once 30 minutes becomes normal, increase the time. You can move to 45 minutes, then an hour. The increase should come after consistency, not before it. Another useful rule is to finish before you reward yourself. This does not mean you should never enjoy your morning. It means you should place comfort after meaningful effort. Breakfast can come after the workout. Coffee can come after the first work session. Social media can wait until the important task is complete. Entertainment can become a reward for completed responsibilities instead of a replacement for them. This changes the order of your day. The old pattern says comfort first and effort later. The new pattern says effort first and comfort later. That change seems small, but repeated every day it teaches you to tolerate delayed reward. Delayed reward is a major part of discipline because many important results require time. Education takes time. Saving money takes time. Building strength takes time. Improving communication takes time. Learning a skill takes time. You should also learn how to handle a bad morning. There will be days when you sleep poorly. There will be days when work starts earlier than expected. There will be days when your family needs your attention. There will be days when you simply do not feel good. A disciplined person does not require perfect conditions. On difficult days, reduce the size of the task without abandoning the habit. Maybe your normal workout is 45 minutes. On a difficult day, walk for 15 minutes. Maybe your normal study session is 1 hour. On a difficult day, study for 20 minutes. Maybe you normally write 3 pages. On a difficult day, write 1 page. This is not lowering your standards permanently. It is protecting the habit from unnecessary breaks. There is an important difference between reducing the task and escaping the task. Reducing means you still perform the useful action. Escaping means you replace the useful action with comfort. This distinction gives you flexibility without giving you permission to quit every time the day becomes difficult. You also need a clear definition of success. Success for your first morning task is not always finishing the entire project. Sometimes success means giving the task your full attention for a set period. A student may not finish the whole chapter, but may study for 40 minutes without checking the phone. A writer may not complete the article, but may write 8 focused paragraphs. A worker may not finish the whole project, but may complete the most important section. Measure the behavior you can control. This is where tracking becomes useful. Create a simple 7-day record. Write the date. Write the hard task. Write the time you started. Write the time you finished. Then mark whether you completed the session. Do not create a complicated scoring system. You are collecting evidence. After 7 days, look at the record. You may discover that you are more consistent than you thought. You may also discover that certain mornings repeatedly cause problems. Those patterns give you information. Perhaps you fail on mornings when you keep your phone beside your bed. Perhaps you struggle after sleeping late. Perhaps you choose tasks that are too large. Perhaps you begin with vague goals. Instead of criticizing yourself, adjust the system. Go to bed earlier. Move the phone away. Reduce the task. Define the first action more clearly. Discipline improves when you learn from your behavior. Your first hard task can also reveal something about your priorities. People often say that family, health, education, financial stability, or personal growth matters to them. Their calendar tells a different story. The calendar shows where their attention actually goes. The first serious task of the day is one way to bring daily behavior closer to stated values. Suppose you say your education matters, but spend the first hour every morning watching entertainment. That does not make you a bad person. It simply shows that your current routine does not support your stated priority. You can change that without attacking yourself. Choose a study task and place it earlier in the day. Behavior changes through repeated actions, not through harsh self-judgment. The same principle applies to physical health. You may want to become stronger, but your morning routine keeps exercise at the bottom of the list. Move a short workout earlier. You may want to improve your career, but important work is always pushed behind small requests from others. Reserve the first focused block for work that has long-term value. You may want a cleaner home, but you always wait until you are exhausted. Spend 15 minutes completing one area before the day becomes crowded. The task should also have a visible finish point. This is important because vague tasks create vague effort. Instead of saying, "Work on my business," define the action as "Contact 3 potential customers." Instead of saying, "Get healthy," define the action as "Complete a 30-minute walk." Instead of saying, "Learn English," define the action as "Study 20 new words and use each in a sentence." Clear tasks make discipline measurable. There is another practical lesson that comes from this. Do not judge your discipline by how strongly you feel about the task. Judge it by whether you did the task. A person can feel extremely motivated and still accomplish very little. Another person can feel tired and complete the necessary work. Feelings are information, but they are not always instructions. You may wake up and feel resistance. That is normal. You may feel bored halfway through the session. That is also normal. You may want to stop because the task is not exciting. You can still continue. The ability to continue through ordinary discomfort is one of the skills you are training. You are not trying to remove every uncomfortable feeling. You are learning that discomfort does not automatically require a change of plan. Do not make the mistake of believing that discipline means being serious every minute of the day. Rest matters. Sleep matters. Time with people matters. Recreation matters. A disciplined life includes these things because recovery supports useful effort. The purpose of the first hard task is not to fill your entire day with work. It is to teach you that important responsibilities deserve protected attention. Your first task should therefore be meaningful enough to deserve your best energy. It should not be difficult just for the sake of difficulty. You are building the habit of facing responsibility before comfort. That habit becomes useful later in the day. After you complete the difficult task, smaller responsibilities often feel easier because you already proved that you can begin. There is also an emotional benefit that comes from keeping this promise to yourself. At the end of the morning session, you know you did something you could have avoided. You may still have problems. You may still have a busy day ahead, but you have one clear piece of evidence that your actions are not controlled entirely by your feelings. That experience builds self-trust. Self-trust is developed through behavior. You cannot simply tell yourself that you are disciplined and expect to believe it. Your mind pays attention to what you repeatedly do. Every time you make a promise and keep it, you strengthen your confidence in your own word. Every time you repeatedly make a promise and break it, the opposite can happen. This is why small daily commitments matter. Start small enough that you can keep the promise, then keep it seriously. A promise to work for 30 minutes is more useful than a promise to transform your entire life tomorrow. Once the 30 minutes becomes normal, raise the standard carefully. The goal is not to impress yourself for one day. The goal is to become reliable over many months. Tomorrow morning, there is no need for a dramatic change. Choose one useful task tonight. Write it down. Prepare what you need. Remove the main distraction. Wake up and begin before entertainment takes your attention. Work for a clear amount of time. Stay with the task, even after the first uncomfortable feeling appears. Record what you completed, then continue with your day. The next morning, do it again. After a few weeks, the important change will not be that every morning feels easy. The important change will be that starting no longer requires a long internal debate. You will know what needs to be done. You will begin sooner. You will recover faster after difficult days. You will spend less time making excuses because your routine will already tell you what comes next. That is how you train yourself to do hard things every day. You do not begin by trying to become a completely different person. You begin by choosing one important task and completing it before comfort takes control of your attention. Then you repeat that decision until it becomes part of how you live. Chapter 2. Do what you keep putting off. Putting things off has a cost that is easy to miss because you usually do not pay it all at once. A task sits on your list while your attention moves somewhere else. You keep telling yourself that you will handle it later. The work remains unfinished and slowly takes space in your mind. Discipline becomes stronger when you learn to deal with important tasks before delay becomes your normal response. There is a simple reason people avoid certain tasks. The task usually creates an uncomfortable feeling before it creates a useful result. You may need to make a difficult phone call. You may need to open a bill. You may need to study a subject you do not understand. You may need to clean something that has been ignored for weeks. You may need to have an honest conversation. The discomfort arrives immediately, while the benefit comes later. Your brain naturally notices the immediate discomfort first. This does not mean you are incapable of discipline. It means you need to understand what is happening before you can change it. Procrastination often begins with emotional avoidance rather than laziness. You are not always avoiding the work itself. You may be avoiding the feeling connected to the work. That feeling could be boredom, uncertainty, fear of making a mistake, frustration, embarrassment, or simple resistance. Once you understand this, stop asking yourself whether you feel like doing the task. That question gives too much power to your current mood. Use a different standard. Ask what needs to be handled today and what action would move it forward. The answer should be specific enough that you can start within a few minutes. Take a task you have been avoiding and write the smallest useful action. Do not write, "Fix my finances." Write, "Open the bank statement and list the 3 largest expenses." Do not write, "Study mathematics." Write, "Complete the first 5 problems." Do not write, "Improve my career." Write, "Update 1 section of my resume." A large task creates uncertainty. A clear first action creates movement. This is one of the most useful skills you can develop. Learn to separate the task from the entire story you have created around it. A person may spend 10 minutes worrying about a difficult conversation before making the call. The conversation has not become easier during those 10 minutes. Only the worry has increased. Starting removes some of that uncertainty because reality gives you information that imagination cannot provide. A practical rule is to give yourself 5 minutes to begin. Not 5 minutes to finish. 5 minutes to enter the task. Open the document. Read the first page. Make the first call. Put the first item away. Write the first few sentences. Once you begin, continue if you can. If you still need to stop after 5 minutes, you can stop. But you must earn the decision to stop by starting first. This works because starting and finishing are different problems. People often treat them as one problem. They look at a large task and imagine the total effort required. That makes the task feel heavier than the first action actually is. Your job is not to solve the whole task in your head. Your job is to begin the part that is directly in front of you. There is another mistake worth correcting. Do not wait until a deadline creates enough pressure to force action. Some people become productive only when consequences become immediate. They work late because tomorrow is too close to ignore. They study only before the exam. They pay bills only after receiving warnings. They clean only when guests are coming. This pattern can produce short bursts of effort, but it keeps your life dependent on pressure. A stronger habit is to create your own earlier deadline. If something is due Friday, decide that your personal deadline is Wednesday. If you need to prepare for a meeting next week, spend some time on it today. This gives you room to discover problems before they become emergencies. Early action does not just reduce stress. It improves the quality of your decisions because you have more time to think. You should also notice which tasks you repeatedly postpone. There may be a pattern. Perhaps you avoid tasks where you cannot predict the result. Perhaps you delay work that requires other people. Perhaps you avoid tasks where your performance can be judged. Perhaps you put off boring administrative work. Your pattern tells you what kind of discomfort you need to practice handling. Once you know the pattern, build a direct response. If uncertainty causes delay, spend 10 minutes gathering information. If fear of judgment causes delay, prepare the first draft before worrying about the reaction. If boring work causes delay, set a short work period and complete one section. If a task depends on another person, send the message early. Your solution should match the reason you are avoiding the task. Pay attention to the language you use with yourself. "I need to do this someday" creates no clear responsibility. "I will handle this at 9:30" creates a defined decision. "I have too much to do" may be true, but it does not tell you what comes next. "I will spend 20 minutes on the most important unfinished task" gives your mind a clear instruction. You also need to stop using preparation as a hidden form of avoidance. Planning can be useful, but endless preparation can become another way to delay action. You can spend hours choosing the right notebook, software, course, schedule, or method while avoiding the actual work. At some point, more preparation stops improving your chances of success. The next useful step becomes action. Use a simple test. Ask whether the activity is helping you complete the task or helping you feel ready to complete the task. Those are not always the same thing. Reading one more article about exercise may make you feel informed, but putting on your shoes and walking may create the result. Watching another tutorial may increase your knowledge, but practicing the skill may create improvement. Hard tasks also become easier to manage when you place them into your calendar instead of keeping them only in your head. A task without a time often competes with everything else. Give important work a start time. Keep the appointment with yourself. Treat it as a real commitment. You do not need a perfect schedule. You need enough structure to prevent important work from disappearing behind smaller demands. There will also be tasks you genuinely dislike. Do not make liking the task a requirement. Some responsibilities will remain boring even after you become disciplined. Some conversations will remain uncomfortable. Some paperwork will always feel tedious. Discipline means you can complete necessary work without requiring the work to entertain you. This is especially important because real life contains many ordinary responsibilities. Growth is not only about large goals. It includes answering important messages, keeping promises, maintaining your space, paying attention to your health, preparing for work, learning useful skills, and dealing with problems before they become larger. A person becomes dependable through these ordinary actions. Try another practice today. Choose one task you have delayed for at least several days. Write down exactly why you have avoided it. Be honest. Do not write a general excuse. Write the real reason. Then identify the smallest action that would move the situation forward. Give yourself 10 focused minutes and do that action without checking your phone or looking for another task. After those 10 minutes, assess the result. Maybe the task is now finished. Maybe you discovered that it requires more work. Maybe you learned something you did not know. Maybe the problem was much smaller than you expected. Any of these results are useful because you replaced uncertainty with information. Do not wait for the feeling of relief before acting. Relief often comes after action. You may notice your shoulders relax after sending the message. You may feel calmer after paying the bill. You may feel more confident after completing the first page. That feeling is not the reason you act. It is evidence that facing reality is often easier than carrying an unfinished task around all day. Start measuring how often you act before pressure becomes extreme. That is a better measure of discipline than how much work you can do during a crisis. A person who handles small responsibilities early creates fewer emergencies later. A person who repeatedly delays creates more pressure and then has to spend extra energy dealing with problems that could have been handled earlier. Today, choose one thing you keep putting off and remove the delay between deciding and starting. Do not make a speech to yourself. Do not wait for a perfect mood. Identify the first useful action and do it. Let the result teach you what the next action should be. Then handle that action as well. The goal is not to become someone who never feels resistance. The goal is to become someone who does not automatically obey it. You can notice discomfort without giving it control. You can feel uncertain and still gather the facts. You can feel bored and still finish the necessary work. You can feel nervous and still make the call. You can feel tired and still complete the smaller version of the responsibility. Every task you stop avoiding gives you more control over your time and attention. Every responsibility you handle early leaves less unfinished work competing for your mind. That is practical discipline. It is built through ordinary decisions made before delay becomes another habit. Chapter 3. Stop choosing easy when work feels hard. Easy choices feel harmless because they rarely create an immediate problem. You take the shorter route, skip the difficult exercise, choose the simpler assignment, delay the serious conversation, or spend another hour doing something that requires little effort. One easy choice does not define your character. Repeated easy choices can define your habits. Strong discipline develops when you learn to recognize the moment you are about to choose comfort and decide whether that choice actually serves your life. Hard work often feels harder before you begin than it does after you settle into it. Your mind notices the effort required, the possible mistakes, and the time involved. It compares that discomfort with an easier activity that offers quick relief. This is why you can know exactly what needs to be done and still find yourself cleaning a desk, checking messages, or watching videos. The easier option gives an immediate reward, while the important task asks you to wait. The answer is not to make every decision difficult. That would be foolish and exhausting. The real skill is learning to tell the difference between useful simplicity and avoidance. Choosing an easier method is smart when it saves time without reducing quality. Choosing an easier option becomes a problem when you select it, mainly because you do not want to experience the effort required for something important. Consider exercise. Walking for 20 minutes may be the right choice on a busy day. Sitting on the couch for 20 minutes because exercise feels uncomfortable is different. Consider work. Using a simple tool that completes a task faster is efficient. Avoiding the task for an hour because it feels difficult is avoidance. The question is not whether the option feels easy. The question is whether the option moves your life forward. A useful daily test is simple. Before choosing the easier action, ask yourself what you will gain and what you will lose. You may gain comfort for 20 minutes. You may lose progress on something important. You may gain temporary relief from an uncomfortable conversation. You may carry the same problem into tomorrow. This small pause gives you enough distance to make a deliberate choice instead of reacting automatically. You can train this skill through small challenges. Do not begin by trying to make your entire day difficult. Choose one moment where you normally take the easy option and change it. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Finish the last 10 minutes of your workout. Read the chapter instead of watching another video. Clean the kitchen before sitting down. Complete the difficult section of your work before checking messages. These actions are small, but they give you repeated practice in choosing effort over unnecessary comfort. The important part is to understand why you are doing the harder action. You are not trying to prove that suffering makes you strong. You are practicing control. You are teaching yourself that a difficult feeling does not have to decide your behavior. That distinction matters because life will regularly present situations where the useful choice requires patience, effort, courage, or concentration. One of the best ways to build this ability is to stop negotiating once the decision is clear. People often spend too much time arguing with themselves. They know they should exercise, but they debate whether they should start now or later. They know they should study, but they consider whether they might be more focused tomorrow. They know they should finish the work, but they tell themselves they deserve another break. The longer the debate continues, the more attractive comfort becomes. Make decisions in advance for predictable situations. Decide that you will walk after work. Decide that you will study before entertainment. Decide that you will finish the important section before checking social media. Decide that you will clean your room before relaxing. A pre-selected rule removes many unnecessary arguments from your day. You should also learn to notice the language that signals avoidance. Words such as later, soon, probably, maybe, and tomorrow can be harmless, but they can also hide a decision to delay. Replace vague timing with a clear action. Instead of saying that you will exercise later, choose a specific time. Instead of saying you will read tonight, choose the number of pages. Instead of saying you will work on the project, decide which part you will complete. There is another reason people choose easy work. Difficult work can expose weaknesses. A hard assignment may show that you do not understand the subject. A serious workout may reveal that your body is less prepared than you hoped. A challenging project may reveal gaps in your skills. Avoiding the task protects your feelings for a short time, but it also protects the weakness from being corrected. This is why doing difficult work has an educational value beyond the result. The task shows you what you need to learn. A mistake tells you where your method needs improvement. A failed attempt gives you information about your preparation. A difficult conversation can reveal a communication problem that needs attention. You become stronger by using these experiences as information rather than treating them as proof that you should stop. Try changing the question you ask after a difficult experience. Instead of asking, "Why am I bad at this?" ask, "What part do I need to improve?" That question produces action. Maybe you need more practice. Maybe you need better instructions. Maybe you need to slow down. Maybe you need help from someone with more experience. Difficulty becomes useful when you study it. You can apply this principle to learning almost anything. Suppose you are learning a new language. The easy activity is reading familiar words that you already understand. The harder activity is speaking with mistakes. Speaking feels uncomfortable because mistakes become visible. Yet speaking gives you information that passive reading cannot provide. You discover where your vocabulary is weak and where your pronunciation needs work. The harder practice gives you better feedback. The same thing happens with physical training. Repeating only the exercises you already perform well can maintain your current ability. Carefully increasing the challenge gives your body a reason to adapt. The increase does not need to be extreme. You might add a few minutes, one more repetition, or a slightly heavier load. The important idea is progressive challenge without careless risk. Work follows the same principle. If you always handle tasks you already understand, your responsibilities may increase without your skills improving. Choose some work that requires you to learn. Ask for a responsibility that stretches your current ability. Study the areas where you make repeated mistakes. Difficult work becomes valuable when it increases your capacity. You also need to protect yourself from false toughness. Doing something difficult is not automatically productive. Staying awake all night when better planning could prevent it is not discipline. Ignoring rest until your health suffers is not discipline. Making a task harder than necessary is not discipline. Good discipline uses effort where effort creates value. The goal is intelligent effort. Work hard on things that matter. Make necessary tasks simpler when simplicity improves your results. Rest when recovery is necessary. Say no to pointless difficulty. The standard is not harder is always better. The standard is choose the level of effort required for meaningful progress. A useful exercise is to create a daily discomfort list. Write 3 actions that you normally avoid because they require effort. Keep them ordinary. Make the difficult phone call. Walk for 20 minutes. Study for 30 minutes. Organize the documents. Prepare tomorrow's work. Then choose one and complete it before giving yourself a comfortable reward. Do not make the list so large that it becomes another source of pressure. You are not trying to fill your life with discomfort. You are building a habit of responding to necessary effort without running away from it. One deliberate challenge each day can teach you more about discipline than a dramatic challenge that you cannot maintain. Pay attention to what happens after you complete the task. You may feel tired. You may feel proud. You may feel neutral. The emotional result is less important than the information you gained. You proved that you can act without choosing the easiest available option. That evidence becomes useful the next time a difficult decision appears. There will be mornings when the easy option looks especially attractive. There will be afternoons when your attention is low and you want to escape into entertainment. There will be evenings when an unfinished responsibility is waiting and you want to postpone it. Those moments are not failures. They are opportunities to practice the skill you are developing. Stop asking whether the hard choice is comfortable. Ask whether it is useful. Ask whether avoiding it will make tomorrow better or harder. Ask whether the easy choice gives you real rest or simply helps you escape responsibility. Ask what the person you want to become would need to practice today. Then act on the answer. Your life will contain both easy and difficult choices. You do not need to reject comfort. You need to stop letting comfort make important decisions for you. Choose convenience when it improves your life. Choose effort when effort is necessary. Choose patience when results require time. Choose practice when skill is missing. Choose responsibility when avoidance creates a larger problem. Each time you make that choice with clear judgment, you strengthen a useful part of yourself. You become less dependent on mood. You become more willing to face demanding work. You become better at staying with a task after the excitement disappears. That is how discipline becomes practical. It grows through ordinary moments where you decide that temporary comfort is not worth giving up something that matters. Chapter 4. Keep going when you want to quit. Quitting often feels reasonable at the exact moment discipline becomes useful. Your body feels tired. Your attention becomes weaker. The task stops feeling interesting. You start thinking about everything else you could be doing. That moment does not automatically mean you should stop. Sometimes it means you have reached the part of the task where your ability to continue needs to be trained. There is an important difference between genuine exhaustion and temporary resistance. Genuine exhaustion requires recovery. Temporary resistance requires a decision. Learning this difference can prevent two common mistakes. One mistake is quitting whenever work becomes uncomfortable. The other is forcing yourself through serious physical or mental exhaustion because you believe stopping is always weakness. Good discipline requires judgment, not blind persistence. Start by checking the facts. How long have you been working? Have you eaten? Have you slept enough? Are you physically unwell? Is your attention so poor that continuing will create more mistakes than progress? If there is a real problem, adjust the plan, take a break, eat, sleep, or seek appropriate help. If the only problem is that the task has become boring or difficult, then you are dealing with ordinary resistance. Many people quit because they judge their feelings too quickly. They feel tired and conclude that they cannot continue. They feel frustrated and conclude that the method is not working. They feel bored and conclude that the task is not worth doing. A feeling can be real without being a reliable instruction. You can acknowledge the feeling and still examine the situation carefully. One practical method is to use a short continuation rule. When you want to quit, do not immediately make a final decision. Continue for another 10 minutes. During those 10 minutes, focus only on the next useful action. Do not think about finishing the entire project. Do not calculate how much work remains. Give yourself 10 minutes of honest effort and reassess afterward. This works because the urge to quit can change quickly. A task may feel unbearable after 90 minutes of concentration, but after 5 minutes of walking, water, and a short reset, your ability to continue may return. In another situation, 10 more minutes may show you that the task truly needs to stop for the day. Either result is useful because you made the decision based on evidence rather than impulse. You should also divide long work into visible sections. A person can become discouraged by seeing 20 pages left to study. The same person may handle 2 pages comfortably. A runner may feel overwhelmed by thinking about the entire distance. Focusing on the next section reduces mental pressure. The work becomes a sequence of smaller responsibilities instead of one large demand. This does not mean pretending the larger goal does not exist. You keep the goal in mind while directing your attention toward the current step. That balance is important. You need a clear reason for continuing, but you also need a manageable action in front of you. Another useful skill is learning to recognize the middle of a task. Starting often feels good because you have energy and a clear sense of purpose. Finishing can also feel good because the end is visible. The middle is different. The excitement has faded, but the result is not close enough to create immediate satisfaction. This is where many people lose consistency. The middle teaches you whether your discipline depends on excitement. A person who works only while feeling inspired will struggle with long projects. A person who expects ordinary boredom and continues anyway has a better chance of completing meaningful work. Most valuable results require repeated effort after the initial excitement has disappeared. You can train this by deliberately finishing small things. Do not leave books half-read because another topic seems more interesting. Do not start 5 projects and finish none. Choose a reasonable task and complete it before moving to something new. Finish the email. Finish the cleaning. Finish the practice session. Finish the planned study block. Completion teaches your brain that starting creates a responsibility to follow through. There is also an emotional reason unfinished tasks remain powerful. An unfinished task continues to demand attention because your mind knows there is an open responsibility. You may be watching a movie while thinking about the report you did not finish. You may be eating dinner while remembering the phone call you avoided. Completing important work can reduce this background pressure. This is why persistence is not only about achieving large goals. It is also about reducing the number of unresolved responsibilities you carry through your day. Every completed task closes one open responsibility. The result is not just progress, it is mental space. When you feel like quitting, check whether you are actually changing your goal or simply experiencing temporary discomfort. These are different situations. You may discover that the original goal is no longer useful. In that case, changing direction can be wise. But if the goal still matters, and the only problem is that the work feels difficult today, quitting does not solve the difficulty. It only delays the next encounter with it. Write down the reason the task matters before you begin long projects. Keep it practical. Maybe you are studying because you want a better job. Maybe you are exercising because you want greater strength and energy. Maybe you are saving money because you want fewer financial problems. Maybe you are learning a skill because you want more options in your career. A clear reason helps you evaluate temporary discomfort against a meaningful result. Do not use dramatic language with yourself during difficult moments. You do not need to tell yourself that you are fighting a huge battle. Use simple facts. This is difficult, and I can do another 10 minutes. I am tired, but I can complete this section. I do not enjoy this task, but it matters. Simple statements keep your thinking connected to reality. Another important lesson is to avoid making quitting decisions at the emotional peak of frustration. Give yourself time. Step away briefly if needed. Drink water. Walk around. Breathe slowly. Then return and decide. A short reset can change your physical state enough to give you a clearer judgment. You can also make persistence easier by preparing for predictable points of weakness. If you know you lose focus after 40 minutes, schedule a short break before that point. If you know your energy drops in the afternoon, place demanding work earlier. If you know certain distractions appear during study, remove them before starting. Discipline becomes stronger when your environment supports the behavior you want. Do not expect yourself to continue at the same speed throughout the entire day. Consistency does not mean constant intensity. Some periods require deep concentration. Other periods require simple tasks. A disciplined person manages energy rather than pretending energy never changes. Use a simple work cycle for difficult projects. Choose a clear task. Work without interruption for a defined period. Take a short break. Return to the next section. At the end of the session, record what was completed. This creates a visible sense of progress and gives you information for the next session. You should also practice staying with something after making a mistake. Many people do not quit because the task is physically difficult. They quit because the result is embarrassing. They make a poor first attempt and decide they are not capable. That response prevents learning. A better response is to identify the specific mistake. Was the preparation weak? Was the instruction misunderstood? Was the timing poor? Did you rush? Did you lack a necessary skill? Once the problem is specific, the next action becomes clearer. Persistence becomes much easier when mistakes are treated as information rather than personal judgments. There will be days when you genuinely need to stop. Respect those days. Rest is part of sustained effort. The purpose of discipline is not to destroy your energy. The purpose is to help you use your energy deliberately. If your body is injured, seek proper care. If your mind is seriously overwhelmed, address the cause instead of simply demanding more effort. Strength includes knowing when recovery is necessary. For ordinary resistance, however, practice staying a little longer. Finish the paragraph, complete the final repetition, make the last phone call, wash the remaining dishes, study the next page, work through the next 10 minutes. Small acts of completion build your ability to remain engaged when the task loses its appeal. Try this today with one responsibility. Choose something you are tempted to leave unfinished. Set a short timer. Put away the phone. Continue until the timer ends. Then decide whether you need more time or a real break. Do not use the break to escape into endless entertainment. Use it to recover your attention. Over time, you will notice that wanting to quit is not the same as quitting. That distinction gives you room to choose. You can feel frustration without reacting immediately. You can experience boredom without changing the goal. You can feel tired without assuming the work is impossible. You can make a mistake without abandoning the entire effort. The goal is not to become someone who never wants to stop. Everyone reaches that point. The goal is to become someone who can examine the feeling, understand the situation, and make a thoughtful decision. Some days the correct decision will be to rest. Other days the correct decision will be to continue for another 10 minutes. The skill is knowing which situation you are facing. Keep practicing that judgment. Complete what deserves completion. Rest when recovery is genuinely needed. Return to important work after the break. Do not let one difficult hour decide what an entire month of effort will become. Your ability to continue should be based on purpose, facts, and responsible choices rather than the temporary discomfort of the moment. Chapter 5. Make yourself work without feeling ready. Being ready is often a feeling that arrives after you begin, rather than before you begin. Many important actions are delayed because people are waiting for confidence, energy, certainty, or the perfect mood. That waiting can last for weeks. Discipline becomes practical when you learn to work before your feelings give you permission. A person who depends on feeling ready gives control of the schedule to changing emotions. One morning can feel productive, and another can feel heavy. One day you may feel confident about your ability, and the next day you may doubt every decision. Your responsibilities do not change simply because your mood changes. Learning to act without perfect feelings is one of the most useful skills you can develop. Start by separating readiness from preparation. Preparation means having the materials, information, time, and basic conditions required to begin. Readiness is the emotional feeling that says you are comfortable starting. You need the first one. You do not always need the second. A student needs the book and a clear study period. A worker needs the necessary files. An athlete needs appropriate equipment. None of them needs to feel excited before beginning. This distinction prevents a common form of delay. You may tell yourself that you need more confidence before applying for a job. You may believe you need more knowledge before speaking in a meeting. You may wait for more energy before exercising. You may think you need a better plan before starting a project. Sometimes more preparation is genuinely useful. Sometimes preparation has already become an excuse for avoiding the first real attempt. Use a simple test. Ask yourself what specific information or resource is missing. If there is something important, get it. If nothing important is missing, begin. This keeps preparation connected to reality. You stop adding unnecessary steps simply because starting feels uncomfortable. There is another useful method called the starting action. Instead of telling yourself to complete the entire job, define the physical action that begins it. Sit at the desk, open the file, put the shoes on, place the book on the table, write the first sentence. Make the call. Starting actions are powerful because they require less emotional energy than imagining the entire workload. Once the first action happens, continue with the next visible step. You do not need to feel ready for the whole process. You only need enough willingness to perform the action directly in front of you. This approach is especially useful for large projects because large projects often create unnecessary pressure before any work has begun. A useful daily exercise is to start one important task within 10 minutes of the planned time. Do not allow yourself to spend that period checking messages, adjusting your workspace, searching for motivation, or watching something unrelated. Start the actual work. The purpose of this exercise is not speed. It is to reduce the gap between deciding and doing. That gap matters more than many people realize. You can have excellent intentions and still make little progress if there is a large delay between intention and action. The longer you wait, the more opportunities you give yourself to change your mind. A short starting window reduces that problem. You should also stop expecting confidence to come before competence. Confidence often grows from repeated experience. You become more confident at public speaking by speaking. You become more confident with difficult work by completing difficult work. You become more confident with exercise by training consistently. Waiting for confidence before practice creates a cycle where the skill never develops. The same principle applies to uncertainty. You may never have complete information before making a decision. Some decisions become clearer only after you take the first step. A business idea becomes more realistic after talking to customers. A career direction becomes clearer after gaining experience. A new skill becomes easier to understand after practice. Action can produce information that thinking alone cannot provide. This does not mean acting carelessly. Important decisions deserve research. Financial decisions deserve attention. Health decisions may require qualified professional guidance. Major commitments should not be made simply because you want to feel brave. Acting without feeling ready means you stop demanding emotional certainty for ordinary responsibilities. It does not mean ignoring facts or taking unnecessary risks. You can build this habit through small promises. Choose one task each day that you will start at a specific time, regardless of your mood. Keep the promise. The task does not need to be large. You might study for 20 minutes. You might exercise for 15 minutes. You might spend half an hour learning a skill. The important part is that the start time is respected. At first, you may notice a strong internal argument. One part of you will say that today is not the right day. Another part will say you can do it tomorrow. Instead of debating every thought, return to the agreement you made. You decided yesterday that this task would begin at a certain time. That decision deserves to be respected. This practice builds something more valuable than temporary motivation. It builds reliability. You begin to know that your plans mean something because your behavior supports them. That kind of self-trust is not created by positive statements. It comes from repeated evidence. You should also be careful with perfectionism. Perfectionism often looks like high standards, but it can quietly prevent useful work. A person may spend 2 hours trying to make the first page perfect and never complete the project. Another person may create a rough first version and improve it later. Progress requires a version that exists before it can be improved. Use a first version rule. The first attempt only needs to be good enough to give you something real to work with. Write the rough draft. Complete the basic workout. Prepare the simple presentation. Organize the first section. Then review and improve. This reduces the pressure that often makes starting difficult. Another practical method is to separate work sessions from evaluation sessions. During the work session, produce. During the review session, judge and improve. Mixing the two can create hesitation because every action is interrupted by criticism. If you are writing, write. If you are solving problems, solve them. If you are practicing, practice. Evaluate afterward. Your physical environment can also help you act before you feel ready. Prepare your materials in advance. Put your study book on the desk. Lay out your exercise clothes. Open the document you need. Keep the tools for tomorrow's task ready tonight. Every small preparation reduces the number of actions between waking up and beginning useful work. Do not underestimate the value of reducing friction. You may think discipline means forcing yourself through every obstacle. A smarter approach removes unnecessary obstacles before they appear. You still perform the difficult part, but you do not create extra difficulty through poor preparation. There will be days when you feel completely unmotivated. On those days, use a minimum standard. Decide the smallest amount of work that keeps the habit alive. 10 minutes of study may be enough to protect the routine. A short walk may be enough when your normal workout is not possible. 1 page of writing may be enough to maintain progress. The minimum standard should be small enough to complete, but meaningful enough to count. This prevents an all-or-nothing pattern. Some people believe that a session only matters if they perform at their best. That belief creates unnecessary breaks. A poor session still gives you practice. A short session still keeps the habit connected to your identity. You are learning that difficult days do not automatically erase your commitment. You should also notice how quickly action can change your emotional state. Before beginning, you may feel resistance. 10 minutes later, your attention may become stronger. After completing the task, you may feel calmer. The change is not guaranteed, but it happens often enough to teach an important lesson. Your feelings can respond to your actions, just as your actions can respond to your feelings. That means you should not treat your morning mood as a forecast for the entire day. Feeling tired at 8 does not prove that you cannot have a productive day. Feeling uncertain before a meeting does not prove that the meeting will go badly. Feeling nervous before training does not prove that you should skip it. Start with the next useful action and let reality provide new information. Today, choose something important that you have been waiting to feel ready for. Make sure the basic preparation is complete. Set a specific starting time. Remove one distraction. Begin with the smallest clear action. Work for a defined period. Do not judge your performance while you are still starting. Then do it again tomorrow. Over time, you will learn that discipline does not require you to feel strong before every responsibility. Some of your best work will begin on ordinary mornings when you feel average, tired, uncertain, or distracted. You will sit down anyway. You will begin anyway. You will learn while doing. You will improve after the first attempt. You will build confidence from experience, instead of waiting for confidence to create experience. That is a more dependable way to work. You stop asking your emotions for permission to act. You use preparation, clear timing, small starting actions, and repeated practice to move forward. The work gets done because you have learned that feeling ready is helpful when it appears, but it is not required for you to begin. Chapter 6. Finish important work before taking breaks. Your break becomes more useful when it comes after meaningful work rather than replacing it. Many people begin the day with small comforts and discover later that the important work has been pushed into a narrow space filled with pressure. The problem is not that rest is bad. The problem is that rest placed before responsibility can make responsibility much easier to avoid. A break should restore your attention, not help you escape from work that matters. That difference is simple but important. Sitting outside for 10 minutes after a focused session can help you recover. Checking social media for 40 minutes because a task feels difficult may leave you more distracted than before. The activity may feel like rest, but it has not necessarily restored your ability to work. Start by deciding what important work must be completed before your first real break. Do not choose everything on your list. Select the work that has the greatest effect on your day. This could be completing a report, finishing a study section, preparing for an important meeting, exercising, handling a necessary household responsibility, or making progress on a personal project. The key is to define completion clearly. Work on my project is difficult to measure. Finish the introduction and first section is clear. Study is vague. Complete 20 practice questions gives you a visible finish point. A clear finish point prevents you from taking a break simply because you have worked for a while without knowing whether the important part is done. This approach also protects you from a common mistake. People often reward effort instead of progress. They spend an hour at a desk and assume they deserve a long break, even though most of the hour was spent checking messages, changing files, or thinking about unrelated things. Time matters, but useful output matters too. Learn to measure what you actually completed. You can create a simple rule for the day. First, complete the most important defined task. Then take the planned break. The rule does not need to apply to every small responsibility. You can still stand up, drink water, use the bathroom, or handle basic needs. The point is to avoid turning comfort into a substitute for meaningful progress. There is a psychological reason this works. Your mind learns from repeated rewards. When entertainment regularly comes before difficult work, the easier activity becomes more attractive. When meaningful effort comes before entertainment, you practice delaying the reward. That ability to wait is useful in almost every area of life, because many valuable results arrive later than the effort that creates them. Think about saving money. You spend less today, so you have more options later. Think about education. You study before you receive the qualification. Think about fitness. You train before your body becomes stronger. Think about career growth. You develop skills before better opportunities appear. The pattern is the same. Useful effort often comes before the reward. This is why your break should be connected to a completed responsibility rather than used as a way to avoid starting. You are teaching yourself that rest has a place in the day, but important work also has a place. Neither needs to destroy the other. A practical method is to use focused work periods. Choose a task. Set a realistic amount of time. Remove unnecessary distractions. Work until the defined objective is complete or until the planned session ends. Then take a short break. During the break, leave the work area if possible. Stretch. Drink water. Walk. Look outside. Let your eyes rest. Give your attention a chance to recover. Be careful about what you do during the break. Highly stimulating activities can make returning to slower work difficult. Short videos, constant notifications, and rapid entertainment can create a sharp change in attention. After 20 minutes of fast content, reading a difficult page can feel unusually boring. Your brain has become accustomed to quick changes. A quieter break can be more useful. Walk around the room. Prepare a simple drink. Sit somewhere away from the screen. Take a few slow breaths. Look at something in the distance. Speak briefly with someone. The purpose is not to create another source of stimulation. The purpose is to recover enough attention to return to useful work. There is also value in finishing a meaningful section before stopping. Imagine studying a topic and stopping in the middle of an explanation every 15 minutes. Returning later may require extra time to remember where you were. The same happens with writing, planning, coding, reading, and many other activities. Constant interruptions create a hidden cost because restarting requires mental effort. This does not mean you should work for hours without stopping. Long periods without rest can reduce attention and increase mistakes. Good work includes recovery. The important part is choosing a stopping point that makes sense. Finish a section, complete a set, reach a planned checkpoint, save your work. then step away. A useful habit is to leave a short note before taking a longer break. Write what you completed and what the next action will be. For example, the introduction is finished. Next, I will check the second section. This makes returning easier because you do not have to rebuild the entire plan from memory. This small practice becomes especially valuable for projects that last several days. You may finish work on Monday and return Tuesday without remembering exactly where your attention was. A short note removes that uncertainty. You can begin quickly instead of spending 15 minutes trying to understand your previous position. Another useful rule is to distinguish urgent tasks from important tasks. Urgent tasks demand attention because they have a near deadline. Important tasks improve your future even when nobody is pressuring you. Studying, exercising, planning finances, learning a skill, and building a career project may not create an immediate emergency. That does not make them less valuable. If you always take breaks after handling only urgent requests, important work can remain unfinished for months. You answer messages, you handle small problems, you respond to other people's needs, then you reach the end of the day with little energy for the work that matters to you. A protected first work period can prevent this pattern. Set aside time for important work before the day becomes crowded. Complete a meaningful portion before allowing low-priority activities to take over your attention. This does not mean ignoring genuine responsibilities. It means understanding that your own important goals deserve scheduled attention too. You should also be honest about what you call a break. A break should have a beginning and an end. Without an end point, a short rest can become an hour. Set a timer when necessary. Decide what you will do during the break before you start it. This gives the break structure and makes returning easier. For example, you might work for 50 minutes and walk for 10. You might study for 40 minutes and rest for 10. You might complete one section of a project and then prepare lunch. The exact structure depends on your work and energy. The important part is that the break is intentional. There will be days when your energy is lower. On those days, reduce the work period rather than abandoning the important task completely. You might work for 20 minutes instead of 50. You might complete one smaller section before resting. This keeps the relationship between effort and rest healthy. You should also protect your breaks from guilt. Once the important work is completed, rest properly. Do not sit down for 10 minutes and spend the entire time thinking that you should be working. Rest is part of maintaining useful effort. A tired mind does not become stronger simply because you refuse to stop. The goal is not constant productivity. The goal is responsible use of your attention. Work deserves focus. Rest deserves recovery. Entertainment deserves a place that does not repeatedly interfere with responsibilities. When these activities have clear boundaries, your day becomes easier to manage. Try this tomorrow. Before starting your day, identify one important result you want completed before your first longer break. Write it down in measurable terms. Start the task before opening unnecessary entertainment. Work until the defined checkpoint. Take a planned break away from the main distraction. Return to the next responsibility after the break. At the end of the day, look at what changed. Did you complete something that normally gets pushed aside? Did the break feel more refreshing because it followed real effort? Did you spend less time negotiating with yourself? Did you return to work more easily? These observations will help you improve the system. Over time, this habit changes how you experience the day. You stop using comfort to escape unfinished responsibilities. You learn to complete meaningful work before giving yourself longer periods of relaxation. You also learn that rest is more satisfying when you know you have handled what needed your attention. The standard is simple. Do the important work with full attention. Stop at a sensible point. Recover properly. Then return when the next work period begins. Keep entertainment in its proper place. Keep responsibility in its proper place. Keep rest in its proper place. A disciplined day does not mean a day without breaks. It means your breaks do not control your responsibilities. You decide what deserves attention first. You complete a meaningful piece of it, and then you allow yourself to recover without guilt. That daily pattern creates a stronger relationship with work, because you are no longer using rest to escape effort, or using effort as an excuse to ignore recovery. Chapter 7. Train yourself to keep your word. Your word has value only when your actions support it. A promise made to yourself can sound sincere in the morning and disappear by evening if there is no system behind it. Discipline becomes stronger when you stop measuring yourself by what you intend to do and start measuring yourself by what you repeatedly complete. Keeping your word begins with making fewer promises. Many people weaken their own trust by making commitments that were never realistic. They say they will wake up early every day, exercise for an hour, read 50 pages, work late, save money, learn a skill, and completely change their routine starting tomorrow. The list sounds impressive, but an overloaded plan creates many chances to fail. A better approach is to make commitments you can clearly define and realistically perform. Instead of saying, "I will become more disciplined," decide that you will exercise for 20 minutes after work. Instead of saying, "I will study more," choose 30 minutes after dinner. Instead of saying, "I will stop wasting time," decide that your phone will stay away from your desk during your first work session. A promise needs 3 things to become useful. It needs a clear action. It needs a time or situation. It needs a standard for completion. "I will read tomorrow" is incomplete. "I will read 10 pages after breakfast" gives you something you can actually follow. Clear commitments reduce the number of decisions you need to make later. There is another important rule. Do not make promises while you are emotionally excited that your ordinary routine cannot support. A strong emotional moment can make you underestimate tomorrow's fatigue. You may feel ready to work for 3 hours tonight, but tomorrow you may have meetings, errands, family responsibilities, and limited energy. Make commitments based on the life you actually live, not the life you imagine for one enthusiastic evening. This is not about lowering your standards. It is about building reliability. A person who keeps a small promise every day is developing a stronger habit than someone who makes a huge promise and breaks it repeatedly. Consistency gives your mind evidence that your decisions can be trusted. Start with one promise that matters. Choose something connected to the person you want to become. Maybe you want to become more organized. Promise to spend 10 minutes putting your space in order each evening. Maybe you want stronger health habits. Promise to walk for 20 minutes 5 days a week. Maybe you want to improve your skills. Promise to practice for 30 minutes before entertainment. Write the promise down. Put it somewhere visible. Then create a simple record. Each day, mark whether you kept it. Do not write long explanations. Do not create excuses in the record. A simple mark gives you honest information. After 2 weeks, you can see whether your behavior matches your intention. This record also helps you identify broken promises before they become normal. Suppose you planned to study at 8, but missed 3 nights because you were too tired. The answer may not be that you need more discipline. The schedule may be wrong. Move the study period to a time when your attention is stronger. A promise should fit reality enough to be kept. You also need a rule for unexpected problems. Life will interrupt your plans. A child may need attention. Work may run late. You may become sick. An important appointment may appear. Keeping your word does not mean pretending circumstances never change. It means having a responsible response when they do. Create a minimum version of important habits. If your normal exercise session is 40 minutes, the minimum could be 10 minutes on a difficult day. If your normal study session is 1 hour, the minimum could be 15 minutes. If your normal cleaning routine takes 30 minutes, the minimum could be cleaning one specific area. The minimum keeps the commitment alive without pretending that every day has equal conditions. There is a second rule for exceptions. Do not turn one difficult day into a new routine. Missing one session because of a genuine problem is different from missing the next 4 because the first absence made quitting feel acceptable. Return at the next realistic opportunity. A broken routine becomes dangerous when you use one interruption as evidence that continuing no longer matters. Keeping your word also affects how you make decisions with other people. Reliability is visible. If you repeatedly say you will call and do not call, people learn not to depend on your statements. If you promise to complete work and consistently deliver it, people learn that your commitments mean something. Your reputation is built through repeated behavior. But your relationship with yourself comes first. You spend more time with your own decisions than anyone else does. Every day you make agreements with yourself about what you will do. Wake up at a certain time. Finish a task. Save money. Study. Exercise. Clean. Prepare. Rest. The quality of these agreements influences how much confidence you have in your own plans. This is why empty self-promises can be damaging. You tell yourself you will change, then repeatedly act against the decision. Over time, your mind begins to expect the promise to disappear. You may still speak confidently about your goals, but part of you knows that your actions have not supported those words. The solution is not harsh self-criticism. It is better agreements followed by better actions. Reduce unnecessary promises. Make important commitments specific. Give them realistic times. Track them. Adjust the system when the schedule repeatedly fails. Then do the work. There is also a useful difference between a goal and a promise. A goal describes a result you want. A promise describes an action you control. You may want to lose a certain amount of weight, earn more money, or reach a professional position. Those results depend on many factors. Your daily actions are more directly under your control. You can promise to prepare healthy meals. You can promise to exercise consistently. You can promise to learn a valuable skill. You can promise to apply for a certain number of opportunities. You can promise to review your spending each week. These actions give you something practical to execute, while the larger result develops over time. This approach also protects you from becoming discouraged by slow progress. If your only measure is the final result, you may feel unsuccessful during periods when the result has not appeared. Measuring your commitments gives you another form of evidence. You can say, "I completed the actions I promised to complete this week." That matters because repeated action creates the conditions for improvement. Your word should also include the promise to stop certain behaviors. Maybe you decide that you will not check your phone during meals. Maybe you will not spend money on unnecessary purchases during the week. Maybe you will not stay awake watching entertainment after a certain time. These commitments require the same clarity as positive habits. Make the rules simple enough that you can recognize success immediately. "I will use my phone less" is vague. "I will keep my phone outside the bedroom at night" is clear. "I will spend less money" is vague. "I will wait 24 hours before buying non-essential items" gives you a specific behavior. A powerful practice is to pause before making a new promise. Ask yourself whether the commitment is necessary. Ask whether you have time for it. Ask what could prevent you from completing it. Ask what the minimum acceptable version would be. This short review prevents many unrealistic commitments from entering your schedule. You should also learn to say no to promises made under pressure. Someone may ask you to do something immediately. You may feel uncomfortable refusing, so you agree. Later you realize that you cannot complete everything. A more disciplined response is to check your responsibilities before committing. Being reliable sometimes means saying, "I cannot promise that today, but I can do it tomorrow." That kind of honesty protects trust. It is better to make a realistic commitment and fulfill it than to make an impressive promise and disappear. Your word becomes stronger when people know that you do not make commitments carelessly. Practice this for the next 7 days. Choose one personal promise. Make it specific. Write the exact behavior and the time. Complete it each day. Track it without exaggeration. If circumstances prevent the normal version, perform the minimum version when appropriate. At the end of the week, review what happened. Do not focus only on the days you succeeded. Study the days you failed. What caused the problem? Was the time unrealistic? Did you forget? Were you distracted? Did you promise too much? Did you leave the task until your energy was gone? Each answer gives you a way to improve your system. Your goal is to become someone whose decisions have weight. When you say you will do something, you want your future actions to confirm it. That reliability does not appear through one dramatic decision. It develops through ordinary commitments kept on ordinary days. Keep your promises small enough to honor and important enough to matter. Make them clear enough to measure. Put them into your schedule. Prepare for interruptions. Return quickly after setbacks. Do not promise everything. Promise what you are prepared to do. Then do it. Day after day, your actions will begin to match your words more closely. You will need fewer speeches about discipline because your routine will provide the evidence. You will feel more comfortable trusting your own plans because you have repeatedly shown yourself that a decision can become an action. That is one of the strongest forms of personal discipline you can build. Chapter 8. Handle bad days without losing discipline. Bad days are part of a disciplined life because no routine survives every change in circumstances. Sleep can be poor, work can become stressful, plans can fail, people can disappoint you, your energy can disappear halfway through the day. Discipline is not proven by having perfect days. It is proven by knowing how to respond when the day does not go as planned. A bad day becomes more damaging when you treat it as a reason to abandon every useful habit. You miss your workout and decide the whole week is ruined. You overspend once and stop tracking your money. You lose focus during the morning and spend the afternoon doing nothing useful. One difficult event becomes an excuse for a much larger decline. The better approach is to reduce the damage. Do not ask how to make the bad day perfect. Ask what useful action is still possible. That question keeps your attention on what you can control instead of everything that went wrong. Start by accepting that your normal capacity will not be available every day. Your best work may happen on some days. Other days may only allow basic responsibilities. This does not mean your standards should disappear. It means you need different levels of effort for different conditions. Create 3 levels for your important habits. Your normal level is what you do on a good day. Your reduced level is what you can manage during a difficult day. Your minimum level is the smallest useful action that keeps the habit connected to your life. This gives you flexibility without turning every difficult day into a complete break. For example, your normal exercise may be 45 minutes. Your reduced session might be 20 minutes. Your minimum might be a 10-minute walk. Your normal study period might be 1 hour. The reduced version could be 30 minutes. The minimum could be 10 minutes of focused review. The exact numbers are not important. The principle is to prepare for difficult conditions before they arrive. This approach prevents all or nothing thinking. All or nothing thinking says you either perform perfectly or the effort does not count. Real life does not work that way. A shorter session can still provide useful practice. A smaller financial saving is still better than unnecessary spending. 10 minutes of cleaning can improve a room. 15 minutes of study can keep a subject active in your mind. You also need to know the difference between a difficult day and a serious problem. A difficult day may involve low energy, frustration, a busy schedule, or a disappointing result. A serious physical or mental problem may require proper care and a different response. Discipline does not mean ignoring important warning signs. It means responding responsibly to the actual situation. One practical habit is to perform a short daily check before deciding how much work you can handle. Ask yourself how you slept, how your energy feels, what responsibilities are fixed, and what important task cannot be ignored. Then choose an appropriate level of effort. This takes only a few minutes and prevents unrealistic plans. Do not use this check as permission to avoid everything. Be honest. Low motivation is not the same as genuine exhaustion. Being annoyed is not the same as being unable to work. Feeling bored is not the same as needing rest. You need to distinguish discomfort from actual limitation. Bad days also test how you speak to yourself. A small mistake can become a long internal argument. You tell yourself that you are failing, that you have no discipline, or that you always ruin your plans. These statements do not solve the problem. They add another problem. Use factual language instead. I missed my workout today. I spent more than planned. I did not finish the task. Facts give you something to work with. Personal attacks usually do not. Once you know what happened, decide what action can repair the situation. Suppose you planned to study for an hour, but spent the evening distracted. Do not spend another hour feeling guilty. Study for 20 minutes before bed, if your condition allows it. If that is not possible, prepare the material for tomorrow and set a clear starting time. The repair action matters more than the emotional punishment. You should also learn to restart quickly. The longer you wait after a setback, the more difficult the habit can become. Missing one workout is a single event. Missing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday creates a new pattern. The goal is not to avoid every interruption. The goal is to prevent interruptions from becoming permanent. A useful rule is to return at the next available opportunity. Do not wait for Monday. Do not wait for the beginning of a new month. Do not wait for a perfect morning. If you miss the morning session and have time in the evening, perform a smaller version. If today is already finished, prepare to begin tomorrow. Bad days can also teach you about weak points in your routine. Maybe your schedule depends too heavily on one free hour. Maybe you sleep too late. Maybe your work environment creates constant distractions. Maybe you do not prepare meals and end up making poor choices when you are hungry. Instead of seeing the bad day only as a failure, study what created it. This is a valuable habit because prevention is easier than repair. If you repeatedly lose discipline after poor sleep, improve your bedtime routine. If you always skip exercise when work runs late, create a shorter backup session. If you spend money whenever you feel stressed, create a waiting period for unnecessary purchases. If you lose focus after checking your phone, keep it away during important work. The strongest routines have backup plans. A routine that works only under perfect conditions is fragile. A routine with smaller alternatives can survive more changes. You do not need a complicated emergency plan. You need a few simple options for common problems. Prepare for low energy. Prepare for a busy schedule. Prepare for travel. Prepare for unexpected responsibilities. Prepare for days when motivation is low. The goal is not to control every event. The goal is to control your response. Another important skill is learning to protect the next day. After a bad day, people sometimes make extreme decisions. They stay up late, trying to compensate for lost work. They create an enormous schedule for tomorrow. They promise to do twice as much. Then they wake up tired and fail again. Do not punish tomorrow for today's problems. Complete what is still reasonable tonight and prepare a normal schedule for the next day. Sleep at a sensible time. Put the necessary materials in place. Decide what matters most. Give yourself a realistic starting point. Your environment can also help you recover. Clean the space where you will work. Prepare your clothes. Organize the desk. Put your phone away from the bed. Make tomorrow's first action obvious. These simple steps reduce the effort required to restart. There is another lesson that many people overlook. Bad days can strengthen discipline because they force you to practice flexibility. Anyone can follow a routine when everything is easy. The real skill is adjusting without abandoning the purpose of the routine. You learn that discipline is not a fixed schedule. It is a consistent commitment expressed through changing circumstances. Consider someone who exercises every morning. On a normal day, they train for 40 minutes. During travel, they walk around the hotel for 20 minutes. During a very busy week, they complete short bodyweight exercises. The exact activity changes, but the commitment to movement remains. That is a stronger habit than a routine that disappears whenever the usual conditions disappear. The same idea works with learning. Your normal study plan may require an hour at a desk. On a difficult day, you may listen to an educational lesson during a walk or review notes for 15 minutes. The method changes, but learning continues. Do not confuse flexibility with weakness. Flexibility allows the habit to survive real life. Rigidity can cause unnecessary failure because it treats every change as a reason to stop. You should also protect yourself from comparing your difficult day with someone else's best day. You may see another person's progress and assume they never struggle. You do not know their schedule, responsibilities, mistakes, or difficult periods. Compare your current behavior with your own recent behavior. Ask whether you are responding better than you did before. At the end of a difficult day, write 3 short answers. What went wrong? What was under my control? What will I do next? Keep the answers practical. This turns a frustrating experience into a small lesson. Over time, you build a record of what causes problems and what helps you recover. Do this tonight if today has been difficult. Do not try to fix your entire life in one evening. Clean one small area. Prepare one thing for tomorrow. Complete one useful responsibility. Set a reasonable bedtime. Then let the day end. Tomorrow does not need to be a perfect correction. It only needs to be a return to useful behavior. Get up. Follow the first planned action. Adjust the workload to your actual condition. Complete something meaningful. Continue from there. A disciplined person is not someone who never has a bad day. A disciplined person knows how to prevent one bad day from becoming a bad week. They understand their limits without using limits as excuses. They adjust the size of the work without abandoning the purpose. They study mistakes instead of using them as reasons for self-attack. Keep your standards realistic. Keep your response responsible. Reduce the task when necessary. Protect your health. Repair what can be repaired. Return quickly after interruptions. Your progress does not depend on having perfect conditions. It depends on your ability to keep making useful choices when conditions are less than perfect. Chapter 9. Push yourself. When nobody is watching. The most revealing test of discipline happens when nobody can see what you are doing. Public effort can be influenced by praise, deadlines, competition, and the desire to look responsible. Private effort has fewer of those pressures. You can stop early, skip the practice, leave the work unfinished, or tell yourself that nobody will know. Your private decisions show whether your standards depend on attention from other people. This matters because much of personal growth happens in ordinary moments that receive no recognition. You study when nobody knows you are studying. You save money without announcing it. You practice a skill before anyone sees the finished result. You clean your space when no guest is coming. You exercise when nobody is waiting for you to finish. These actions may look small, but they build the habits that later become visible through your results. A useful way to strengthen this part of discipline is to create private standards. Decide what you will do, even when nobody checks. Your standard could be completing your planned study session, keeping your workspace organized, practicing a skill for a set amount of time, or finishing a task before entertainment. The important part is that the standard belongs to you. Do not make the standard so high that it becomes impossible to maintain. A private standard should be clear and demanding enough to require effort. It should also fit your actual responsibilities. The purpose is not to create a perfect image of yourself. The purpose is to become reliable in situations where external pressure is low. Many people become productive when someone is watching. A manager walks into the room and work suddenly becomes faster. A teacher announces a deadline and studying begins. Friends know about the goal and motivation increases. These outside pressures can be useful, but they are not enough. Eventually, you need to work without being pushed. One practical exercise is to choose one task each day that nobody else will inspect. Complete it anyway. Do not announce it. Do not post about it. Do not tell people how disciplined you are. Simply complete the work and move on. This removes the reward of recognition and lets you focus on the actual habit. You may discover that this feels different. Without praise, the task can seem less exciting. That is useful information. It shows you whether you have learned to value the result or whether you were mainly responding to attention. You can then strengthen the internal reason for doing the work. Ask yourself what the task gives you, even when nobody notices. Studying gives you knowledge. Saving money gives you greater financial options. Exercise develops physical capacity. Practice improves skill. Cleaning reduces disorder. Planning reduces future confusion. The value exists whether another person sees the action or not. There is also a hidden benefit to private effort. It reduces the temptation to seek approval before you have made real progress. People sometimes talk about their goals so much that talking becomes a substitute for working. They tell friends about the new business, the new routine, the new skill, or the new plan. They receive encouragement and feel productive, but the actual work has not moved. You do not need to hide every goal. Sharing a plan can create useful accountability. The problem begins when attention becomes more satisfying than progress. Keep some of your effort private so that the satisfaction comes from completing the work itself. Another useful practice is to measure actions rather than reactions. Do not ask how many people noticed. Ask how many practice sessions you completed. Do not ask how much praise you received. Ask how much useful work you produced. Do not ask whether someone complimented your discipline. Ask whether you kept the standard you set. This changes the source of feedback. Instead of depending entirely on other people's reactions, you create your own evidence. A simple record can help. Write the date, the task, and whether you completed it. At the end of the week, review the record. The result is more useful than vague feelings about whether you were disciplined. You should also learn to work without immediate rewards. Some tasks produce benefits slowly. Reading one page does not transform your knowledge. One workout does not transform your body. One saved amount does not transform your finances. One practice session does not create mastery. The value comes from accumulation. This is why private discipline requires patience. You may spend months learning something before anyone recognizes your improvement. You may make financial sacrifices that nobody sees. You may wake early and work quietly while everyone else is sleeping. During that period, you need a reason that does not depend on applause. Choose reasons connected to your life. You want more skill, you want better health, you want greater independence, you want to become more dependable, you want to reduce financial pressure, you want to create better opportunities. These reasons can guide action even when nobody is watching. There is another important issue. People sometimes push themselves too hard in private because they want to prove something to themselves. That is not healthy discipline. You do not need to punish yourself with endless work. Rest, sleep, food, relationships, and recovery are also responsibilities. Pushing yourself means doing the useful work you committed to doing, not ignoring every human limit. A strong private standard includes knowing when enough work has been completed. If your plan says 1 hour of focused practice, Complete the hour and stop. If the task requires rest afterward, take the rest. Discipline is not measured by how exhausted you become. It is measured by whether you can consistently manage your responsibilities. You can also use private commitments to improve honesty with yourself. Write down what you actually did rather than what you intended to do. If you planned to study for an hour but studied for 20 minutes, record 20 minutes. This may feel uncomfortable, but accurate information is useful. You cannot improve a routine based on an inaccurate picture of your behavior. Honest tracking also prevents false confidence. You may feel like you have been working hard because you think about your goals frequently. Your record may show that actual practice has been inconsistent. That is not a reason for shame, it is a starting point. Once you see the pattern, you can change it. Try a 7-day private discipline challenge. Choose one useful behavior. Keep it simple. Complete it at the same general time each day. Tell nobody about the challenge. Track the result privately. Do not add extra tasks because you are feeling motivated. Your goal is to prove that you can maintain one standard without external pressure. During those 7 days, notice the moments when you want to skip. Write down the reason. Maybe you are tired. Maybe you are bored. Maybe another activity looks more attractive. Maybe you think the task will not make a difference. Then decide whether the reason is valid or simply uncomfortable. This exercise teaches a deeper lesson about identity. You are not only completing a task, you are learning what you do when there is no audience. That information can influence how you plan future goals. If you discover that you need external pressure to begin, create stronger personal systems. Use scheduled sessions, visible tracking, prepared materials, or commitments with real consequences. You can also create artificial accountability when necessary. Tell one trusted person that you will send them a completed result at a certain time. Use a study group. Schedule a professional appointment. Set a deadline earlier than the official deadline. External structure is not a failure. It is a tool. The long-term goal is to gradually increase your ability to act without needing constant supervision. The strongest form of private discipline is not dramatic. It often looks ordinary. You finish the last part of the assignment. You put the money aside. You complete the workout. You practice the difficult skill. You prepare tomorrow's work. You close the laptop at the planned time and go to sleep. Nobody applauds. You simply did what you said you would do. That kind of behavior builds a different kind of confidence. You know what you can expect from yourself because you have seen your actions repeatedly. You do not need to convince other people that you are disciplined. Your routine provides enough evidence. There will be days when nobody notices your effort, and days when nobody cares about your progress. Do not use that lack of attention as a reason to stop. Your goals still have value. Your health still matters. Your skills still matter. Your responsibilities still matter. The absence of an audience does not remove the importance of the work. Keep one meaningful standard that belongs only to you. Follow it without announcing it. Track what you actually do. Adjust the system when it fails. Rest when recovery is needed. Continue practicing when the task is ordinary and no praise is available. The person you become is shaped by the actions you repeat in private. Work that nobody sees still changes your ability. Practice that receives no applause still improves your skill. Money saved without recognition still creates options. A clean room that nobody visits still creates order. A finished task that nobody celebrates still gives you progress. Push yourself for a reason that remains valuable without attention. Do the work because it matters to the life you are building, not because someone might notice you doing it. When that becomes normal, discipline stops depending on an audience and starts becoming part of your daily behavior. Chapter 10. Build a life you can respect. A life you can respect is built through the choices you make after nobody is telling you what to do. It is built through how you spend your time, how you handle responsibility, how you treat people, how you manage your money, how you care for your body, and how seriously you take your own potential. Respect for your life does not come from having a perfect life. It comes from knowing that your daily actions are moving in a direction you can stand behind. Start by deciding what respect means to you in practical terms. Do not use vague words such as success or greatness. Look at your actual life. Ask whether you respect the way you use your mornings. Ask whether you respect the way you spend money. Ask whether you respect the way you speak to people close to you. Ask whether your work reflects effort and responsibility. Ask whether you are learning anything that improves your future. These questions can feel uncomfortable because they remove excuses. That discomfort is useful. You cannot improve a life you refuse to examine honestly. A respectful life begins with accurate information about where you are now. Take one ordinary weekday and study it carefully. Write down how you spend your time from waking until sleeping. Include work, meals, travel, phone use, entertainment, exercise, conversations, study, and sleep. Do not judge the day while recording it. Simply collect the facts. Many people discover that their stated priorities and actual schedules are very different. A person may say health is important while spending nearly every free hour sitting. Another may say learning matters while spending little time studying. Someone may want financial freedom while regularly making purchases without tracking them. Someone may value family while giving most of their attention to a screen during conversations. The purpose of this exercise is not guilt, it is alignment. Respect grows when your actions begin to match your values. If health matters, your schedule should contain movement and proper recovery. If learning matters, your week should contain focused study. If financial stability matters, your spending should have limits. If relationships matter, people should receive your attention rather than only your leftover time. You do not need to change everything at once. Choose the area where improvement would make the biggest difference. Then define one behavior that supports it. A better life is easier to build when the change is visible and measurable. Your standards matter because they guide decisions when nobody is giving instructions. A standard might be arriving on time. It might be keeping your living space clean. It might be finishing important work before entertainment. It might be speaking honestly. It might be refusing to spend money you do not have. It might be keeping promises to people who depend on you. Standards should be practical enough to influence ordinary behavior. Saying that you want to be a good person is too broad to guide a difficult moment. Deciding that you will return borrowed items on time gives you a clear behavior. Saying that you want to be healthy is broad. Preparing simple meals and walking regularly creates something you can actually do. Your environment will challenge those standards. Friends may invite you into habits that waste your time. Work may become demanding. Unexpected expenses may appear. You may become tired. You may lose motivation. A respectful life is not built by avoiding every difficult situation. It is built by deciding which standards remain important when circumstances change. You also need to understand that respect does not mean making everyone happy. A person who says yes to every request can appear helpful while slowly destroying their own schedule. You have limited time and energy. Every commitment has a cost. Learning to say no to unnecessary demands protects the responsibilities you have already accepted. This can be uncomfortable because people may not like your decision. You do not need to be rude. You can be clear. You can say that you are not available. You can offer another time if appropriate. You can decline without creating a long explanation. Respecting your own responsibilities sometimes requires disappointing someone. Your financial choices also play a major role in how you experience your life. Money does not determine your worth, but poor financial habits can create constant pressure. Start with awareness. Track where your money goes. Separate necessary expenses from optional spending. Look for repeated purchases that provide little value. Create a basic amount for saving when possible. The goal is not to become obsessed with money. The goal is to reduce avoidable stress and create more choice. A person who knows their expenses can make better decisions than someone who avoids looking at their bank account because the information feels uncomfortable. Your physical environment matters too. A messy room can create small daily problems. You lose items. You delay tasks. You feel less prepared. Cleaning your space does not solve every problem in your life, but it creates order in one area you can control. Start with one room or one surface. Remove what you do not use. Put necessary items where they belong. Make the space easier to maintain. Your body deserves similar attention. You do not need an extreme routine. You need regular movement, enough sleep, reasonable nutrition, and appropriate recovery. These basic actions affect your energy and your ability to perform daily responsibilities. Taking care of your body is not separate from discipline. It supports your ability to practice discipline. Your relationships deserve deliberate effort as well. Respecting your life includes respecting the people who share it with you. Listen without constantly checking your phone. Keep important promises. Admit mistakes without making excuses. Speak directly instead of allowing resentment to grow. Make time for people who matter to you. You will also need to accept that some relationships require boundaries. Being respectful does not mean allowing repeated disrespect. You can communicate clearly. You can limit contact when necessary. You can choose relationships that support responsible behavior rather than constantly pulling you toward choices you do not respect. Career and learning deserve the same attention. A job is not only a source of income, it is also an environment where you develop skills and demonstrate reliability. Ask yourself what you are learning. What can you improve? What responsibility could you handle better? What skill would make you more valuable? Choose one skill and practice it consistently. Do not wait for your employer or someone else to design your development. Learn to write better, communicate more clearly, understand useful software, improve your technical ability, study your industry, learn how to organize projects. The exact skill depends on your situation, but the principle is simple. Keep increasing your ability to contribute. A life you respect also needs room for enjoyment. Discipline is not about turning every hour into productive work. You should have time for hobbies, friends, rest, and simple pleasures. The difference is whether these activities are chosen intentionally or used to escape responsibilities constantly. This is why balance should be based on priorities rather than equal time. Important work may deserve more attention during one season. Family may require more attention during another. Health may become the main priority after a period of poor sleep. Your schedule can change while your core standards remain stable. You should review your life regularly. Once a week, take 15 minutes and ask what worked, what failed, and what needs to change. Look at your habits rather than judging your personality. Maybe your morning routine is too complicated. Maybe your spending limit is unrealistic. Maybe your study time is scheduled when your energy is lowest. Adjust the system. Once a month, look at bigger areas: health, work, money, relationships, learning, home, time. Choose one area that needs attention and create one specific action for the coming month. This prevents improvement from becoming an idea you think about but never organize. Do not compare your life with someone else's visible results. You rarely see their complete situation. You see selected moments. Build standards based on your own responsibilities, values, and goals. A life worth respecting for one person may look completely different for another. What matters is that your choices make sense to you. You know why you are working. You know why you are saving. You know why you are learning. You know why you are taking care of your health. You know why you are taking care of your health. You know why you are taking care of your health. You know why you are taking care of your health. You know why you are taking care of your health. You know why you are taking care of your health. You know why you are taking care of your health. You know why you are taking care of your health. You know why you are taking care of your health. You know why you are taking care of your health. You know why you are taking care of your health. You know why you are taking care of your health. You know why you are taking care of your health. You know why you are taking. You will miss workouts. You will make poor decisions. A respectful life does not require a perfect record. It requires honest correction. When you make a mistake, repair what you can. Apologize when appropriate. Replace the bad habit with a better action. Learn what caused the problem. Change the system that allowed it, then continue. Your response to mistakes is part of the life you are building. You have spent this journey practicing difficult actions, facing resistance, keeping commitments, working without attention, and continuing through imperfect days. The purpose of those practices is not to create a person who works constantly. The purpose is to create a person who can direct their behavior toward what matters. Build your life through choices you can explain to yourself with confidence. Work when work is required. Rest when rest is necessary. Learn when you lack knowledge. Save when spending would create future pressure. Speak honestly when silence would create confusion. Set boundaries when repeated demands damage your responsibilities. Take care of your body because you need it every day. At the end of each week, you should be able to look at your actions and recognize the person making those choices. You should see effort where effort was needed. You should see responsibility where responsibility was required. You should see correction after mistakes. You should see attention given to people and goals that matter. That is a life you can respect, not because every day went well, not because everyone approved of your choices, not because you reached every goal. You respect it because you are actively taking responsibility for how you live. Keep improving the parts that need work. Protect the habits that are helping you. Remove what repeatedly pulls you away from your priorities. Make better decisions with your time. Keep learning. Keep your standards clear. Keep your promises realistic. Keep doing the ordinary work that supports the person you want to become. Your life is shaped by what you repeatedly do with the hours you are given. Use those hours in a way that allows you to look at your choices with honesty and say that you are becoming someone you respect. You have reached the end of this audiobook, but the real work begins when the audio stops. Remember this simple truth. You build discipline every time you do what matters instead of what feels easier. Tomorrow, there will be another difficult task. There will be another moment when you feel tired, distracted, or unprepared. You may want to delay it. You may want to choose comfort. That moment is your opportunity to practice what you have learned. Do not try to change your entire life overnight. Choose one hard thing and do it. Finish what you usually delay. Keep the promise you made to yourself. Work without waiting for praise. Continue through an uncomfortable day. Then do it again tomorrow. Over time, these small decisions will change how you see yourself. You will become more reliable, more focused, and more capable of handling responsibility. Come back to this audiobook whenever your discipline becomes weak or your routine starts slipping. Listen again when you need to reset your standards and remember why you started. And if this audiobook gave you something useful, return to it regularly. The goal is not to hear these lessons once. The goal is to live them. Train yourself to do hard things every day. Your future will be shaped by what you choose to do today.